Ships are made for passengers and sailors. That said, these vessels in most cases outlive the passengers and sailors who took them out into the mighty waters. These ships are better known as ghost ships. One famous example of such a ship is the Mary Celeste. This is, however, not the only ship that was left abandoned to sail on its own. The ships can be at the bottom of the ocean, shipwrecked on a sandy beach, or still sailing in the ocean. This video showcases spectacular ghost ships and their amazing stories. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe, and click the notification bell for more amazing content. Let's begin. Number 12. The Carol Deering. The renowned modern equivalent to the Mary Celeste is the tale of the Carol Deering, a 5-mast commercial schooner that was found abandoned in strange circumstances in January 1921. This was less than 2 years after it was launched. There's a conspiracy theory that connects the ship's anomaly to the Bermuda Triangle. We'd put our money on the fact that the ship might have encountered a mutiny of pirates. The ship was spotted off the coast of North Carolina on the 31st of January that year. This was after running aground on Diamond Shoals. The weather was down and it took 4 days for rescue to get to the crew. When they got there, the crew was, however, nowhere to be found, and even with the investigation that went into the matter, there were no solid answers, and the matter was closed in the year 1921. Number 11. Copenhagen. This was a 5-mast ark that was at the time of its creation one of the largest sailing vessels in the world. It was predominantly used for training the Danish Navy cadets, and it served this purpose for 7 solid years. This was until December 1928 when she set sail from Argentina to Australia and was never seen again. It's not such a surprise, ships do go missing every so often. That said, this 430-foot long and 20-story vessel is so humongous you'd not think it possible for it to go missing. We put the blame solely on the doldrums and the loss of the Copenhagen. If the wind was still, it had a diesel motor to power it, and on the 22nd of December 1928, exactly 8 days after she left Argentina, there was an exchange of radio messages between the Norwegian steamer ship William Bloomer, whereby the Copenhagen was said to be 900 miles from Tristan da Cunha, running well. By that night, the crew on the Bloomer lost touch with the vessel and seemingly disappeared into thin air. Some sailors in the area occasionally reported sightings of a huge 5-mast ship drifting in the South Atlantic for the next 2 to 3 years. There was no photographic evidence, and it was concluded that the ship and crew got lost at sea in late 1929. Number 10. Marsem Finn. The name of this Brazilian yacht translates to endless sea. When you think about it, no one wants to be in the sea endlessly. It's a bit scary. This vessel, in line with its name, almost spent an eternity in water. It sank at the Ardley Cove in Antarctica in 2012 and briefly became a photo opportunity for the Antarctic tourists because it was very possible to see the outline of the ship below the water. During the much warmer months, parts of the ship would come to the surface and float precariously, just like a ghost ship would. The 4-person crew on the ship were making a film about the Antarctic and were luckily rescued by a Chilean vessel after radioing for assistance. The vessel, however, got stuck pretty fast and could not be salvaged. Worse still, the water had flooded it, froze, and then split the vessel. A year later, the vessel was brought back via a refloating process that involved buoys. Given the damage it had, it was likely the vessel would be scrapped. Number 9. Canadian Barge in ATL-2. In 2014, this vessel was on its way in the Northern Territory of Tuktoyaktuk when it decided to chart its course. The vessel was being towed to a new location when it broke free and set off alone without a crew on a journey that took it 1,500 miles along the Alaskan coastline and into Chukchi Sea. For a while, it was feared that the vessel without a crew had been lost totally, until in 2015 when it provoked alarm by sailing unannounced into Russian waters, having survived the cold season along the Russian waters. Its Canadian owners were elated to see their ship again. They also alerted the Russians that the vessel was dangerous. The vessel was full of sulfur diesel when it went missing, and if it had developed a leak in its months of solo sailing, it might have been a disaster. The World Wildlife Relief became involved in the rescue efforts, and the Russians were able to recover the wandering barge without further incident. Number 8. The Octavius. This was a trading vessel that went missing between China and London in 1761. For some reason, the captain thought to be creative and sue the Northwest Passage to sail home. In the past, nobody had successfully navigated that route, and the captain's confidence that he and his crew would be the first was a little misplaced. The Octavius never made it and disappeared for a minute there until a whaling ship spotted it off the coast of Greenland with ripped sails. Upon boarding it, they were hopeful that they'd find the crew and rescue them. It was 1775 and a whole 14 years had passed. Bodies of the frozen crew were found in their quarters, and the captain was seated at his desk still holding a pen and looking at a logbook. The rescue crew felt this was a haunted ship. They took the logbook and left the frozen scene. How the Octavius survived 14 years at sea is still unknown. It was, however, never seen again. Number 7. Sabrina. When this 3-mast barge was built in Whistle Bowl, England in 1873, it was supposed to be a trading ship on River Plate in South America. She never made it to the exotic location and worked on domestic waters in Europe. For many years she was efficient and was considered a robust and reliable ship. In October 1917, she vanished in what was supposed to be a short and uneventful trip from Falmouth in England to St. Brieuc in France, laden with a cargo of coal from Swansea. 4 days after she left Falmouth, she was spotted at Rosal Point, south of the French city of Cherbourg, having run aground. There was no sign of significant damage to the vessel, she never radioed for any assistance, and the crew was missing. That's all anybody knows about her disappearance. Theory puts it that a German U-boat captured the crew and then was sank by a warship. For that to happen, there would have to be some bullet holes in the Sabrina or a recording of a distress call. The case remains unsolved and the crew missing. Number 6. The Sayo. Manfred Fritz Badgerat, the German sailor and adventurer, was supposed to not be scared of getting lost at sea in the way that he did. It was his habit to sail for months alone in his yacht without communication with anyone. In 2014, he went on one journey too many. After 2 months without hearing from him, a search and rescue operation was set up, but no sign of the CEO was found. It wasn't until February that the CEO was spotted close to Baraboo in the Philippines. A team of French sailors boarded, hoping to find Manfred alive. Unfortunately, he turned up dead. He had been for months earlier. His body had been mummified, a transmitter was in his head, and a goodbye letter had been written to his wife during his last days. He was surrounded by photos of his friends and family. Hopefully, this provided comfort at the end. Apart from the ripped sails, the yacht was not damaged. How he died is not clear. Number 5. MV Alta. No ship lasts forever. This cargo vessel was launched in 1976 and had a long life. She, however, had to be abandoned when she got a total power failure when sailing from Greece to Haiti in September 2018. The crew had to spend 20 days trapped inside the powerless vessel before they were rescued by the Coast Guard. By this time, the Alta had drifted to Puerto Rico. Securing the stricken ship was impossible. The crew was airlifted and the vessel was written off as being lost at sea. Somehow, without a crew, it changed sails and set off back towards Europe and washed up on the coast of County Cork in Ireland in February 2020. Even though sailing alone for a year and a half, it was surprisingly undamaged. Who knows, it might be possible to save and repair the merchant's vessel. Until then, it's still on the rocky Irish coast and is a splendid tourist attraction. Number 4. The Seabird. There are a lot of rumours about what happened to this vessel. The facts as we know them are, it was commanded by a man called John Hook, and until 1750 nothing was interesting about the vessel. In the summer of 1750 she was seen approaching Newport Harbour in Rhode Island, sailing normally. When she got closer, the onlookers then discovered that the vessel was crewless. Could be that the sea wrecked the vessel violently, but it still managed to sail through the breakers and found a place to dock. Upon rescue, the only living thing on board was a cat and a dog. The entire crew was missing. The kettle seemed to have been on that morning and breakfast was still on the table, meaning the crew did not willingly abandon the ship. The longboat was, however, missing, meaning that the crew might have tried to leave the ship but never made it to land. The following day, the ship sailed from Rhode Island and, like its crew, it remains a legend. Number 3. A fleet of North Korean ships. These ships have been washing up on the coast of Japan in recent years. The ships are often ramshackle wooden construction housing crews of up to 8 men in cramped conditions. The vessels that have washed up this far are mostly fishing vessels, suggesting a significant depletion in the number of fish in North Korea's waters. When the crews have been found alive on some of these incidents, they explain that they're having to sail further out to catch fish, and the tides are no match for their vessels. Most times when the Japanese authorities find the vessels, only skeletal remains of the crew are on board. The first of the lost ships was found in 2013. There's speculation that some of the ship's occupants are civilians trying to escape North Korea, a suggestion that's refuted by the said government. Number 2. The Ocean Wave. In 1976, a Spanish fishing trawler, Eduardo Pondel, spotted a sailing boat submerged in water off the south coast of Ireland. It was small enough to be hauled out of the water and onto the deck, and when this happened they found documentation that an attempt to cross the Atlantic Ocean had failed. At this point they identified the vessel to be the Ocean Wave. Its missing occupant was a Dutch conceptual artist, Bas John Eder, and it was established that the boat had been drifting for at least 6 months. This ending was not what Eder had envisioned when he set sail from Chatham, Massachusetts in USA 10 months earlier. His notebook and camera were missing though. Some believe that he might have faked his death to start a new life elsewhere. Number 1. Month Electron. The seemingly cursed and haunted wreck rots away in the Cayman Islands where it's missing Captain Donald Crowhurst, who was a businessman and amateur sailor who built the yacht in an attempt to take part in the 1969 World Yacht Race. He was not qualified and poorly equipped. He eventually turned off the radio and drifted into the Atlantic Ocean, making false reports to the race's educator hoping to make it in the last place. He never made it that far. After completing a 25,000-word manifesto on how humankind can achieve dimensional transcendence, it's thought that he might have fallen overboard. From his writing, it seemed he might have been undergoing a mental breakdown. The recovered vessel was sold to fishermen in Jamaica, but eventually ended up in its current location in 1983. That's all the ghost ships we could find. We hope we've not spooked you out of going out sailing. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please let me know by clicking the like button. Do share, write a comment, and don't forget to subscribe so that you can catch up my next video.